Keiki was a repulsive loner who looked like LeBron James's big toe. But despite this, he received a mysterious love letter from an unknown beauty who wanted to be his pet and cheer him on. It all started when Keiki received a message from the art club president asking him to come to the club room. He showed up immediately, but was shocked to see the whole place looking like it had been destroyed by a paper shredder overnight. When he tried to ask what the heck happened, another member accused Sayuki of treating Keiki like a dirty slave to do all her personal chores. The other club members came in and started cleaning up the trash scattered on the floor. Seeing this, everyone joined together to tidy up the room. Once finished, the space was sparkling clean. Keiki then told the group to go wash up, stating that he would finish the last touches of the cleanup, which they gladly did. After picking up the mops and throwing away the dirty water, Keiki returned to the club room where something caught his eye, a pink love letter hidden under a nicely wrapped plot armor. Intrigued, even if he were the disgusting pair, he approached to read it. To his surprise, the letter revealed that his nasty face was secretly charming some secret admirer. The discovery filled Keiki with excitement because in all his pathetic life, he had never managed to get a single girlfriend. In his state of euphoria, he grabbed the plot armor piece and instantly finished up. The next day, while playing cards with his friend Shuma, he mentioned the mysterious love letter, seeking advice on how to track down the sender. Shuma, in full detective mode, using his Einstein brain, pointed out the obvious to the brainless idiot. Since Keiki found the letter in the art club room, the sender must be one of the girls in the club. First, there was Sayuki, the president with huge breasts. Then there was Yuka, the blonde with a head like a watermelon. There was also Nanjo, friendly but bland, with no plot to sustain the story. And lastly, Keiki's younger sister, Mizuha, wouldn't be exempt, because she was a crazy, weird girl. Armed with this new information, Keiki went to school the next day, determined to find clues and discover which girl had written the letter. First, he found Sayuki on the stairs and handed her the clubroom keys. Her suspicious behavior made him wonder if she could be the person. Later, in the library, he ran into Yuka, who popped out of nowhere, asking Keiki if he preferred large or smaller chest balloons. Questions. Shocked by such a question from someone with an innocent face, Keiki almost lost control and nearly screamed in total shock. However, before he could react, the naughty girl covered his mouth, accusing him of being one of those guys obsessed with breasts, as he had been looking too much at Sayuki's voluminous chest lately. After blurting out these words, Yuka became upset because she felt she didn't stand a chance, as she was flatter than a cutting board and had no chance with Keiki. Soon after, Keiki suffered an accident on the basketball court after getting distracted and catching the ball with his face. He woke up in the infirmary with Nanjo beside him, who asked if he was thinking about a girl when he got distracted. When Keiki didn't answer, Nanjo left irritated. After school, Keiki felt strong enough to go home, where he found Mizuha cooking in the kitchen. Frustrated with the mystery of his secret admirer, Keiki asked if she knew who was the last to leave the club room after the cleanup. Mizuha casually mentioned that Sayuki was the last to leave, leaving Keiki stunned. He briefly imagined a scenario where he bursts into the club room and confronts Sayuki like a complete idiot, asking her if she was the mysterious girl who had sent him the secret love letter. However, he quickly snapped back to reality, knowing that was a craziness that only a mental patient would do. The next day, during lunch, Keiki managed to sit with Sayuki. He tried to ask indirectly if she had feelings for him, but before he could finish, she ran off. Her strange behavior made him more convinced that she was the author of the letter. All day he tried to talk to her, but she kept avoiding him like he was the plague.
Noticing the strange tension between Keiki and Sayuki, Nanjo intervened, telling Keiki to stop being a coward. She explained that girls liked guys who were soft on the outside but strong on the inside. Stimulated by this advice, Keiki gained the confidence he needed. After school, he spotted Sayuki heading home and ran after her as if his life depended on it. When he caught up to her and tried to speak again, she tried to dismiss him, but this time he cornered her. An exasperated Sayuki asked what he wanted. Keiki said he knew her secret, which left her speechless. Sayuki then asked if he still found her attractive after knowing her secrets. Keiki reassured her, saying he was totally fine with it. Relieved, Sayuki told him to meet her in the club room during lunch the next day because she had something important to tell him. The next day, the ugly guy entered the club room and found Sayuki waiting for him. She confessed that she had always felt he was the only guy who would accept her for who she truly was. She then asked him to close his eyes, which he did. Moments later, she told him to open his eyes, and Keiki was greeted with the most shocking sight of his life. Sayuki was almost naked, wearing a collar straight out of 50 Shades of Grey with her laser blasters turned up to max. She then begged him to make her his pet, nearly causing the MC a heart attack. Sayuki went on to explain that when Keiki cornered her while walking home earlier, it proved that he had an aggressive side, which she found exciting because she liked tough guys who behaved like delinquents. She confessed that she wanted to be his pet and be disciplined by him all night long. She then handed him the leash, lowered her head, and implored him to become her master. Later that day, after school, Keiki shared his crazy dilemma with his only friend Shuma. He admitted that even though Sayuki had made her intentions clear, he still doubted she was the person who left the love letter and the mysterious butt covering. He was certain that someone from the art club was behind it. Hearing this, Shuma then advised him to keep investigating. Before the school day ended, Keiki ran into Nanjo in class and thanked her for helping him reconcile with Sayuki. The next day, in the school library, while Keiki was studying, Sayuki interrupted him. She whispered that she had been waiting for him and kissed his ear seductively, making Keiki almost swallow his tongue. She kept insisting he take on the role of her master, promising to be a good pet. Seeing his reluctance, she grabbed his hands and pressed her soft pillows against his skinny body. Yuka arrived just in time to save him. Yuka then confronted Sayuki, asking why she was acting so thirsty. Sayuki proudly informed Yuka that she and Keiki had gotten very close recently, even claiming they had gone on a date, which enraged Yuka, who stormed out of the library. Later, Yuka approached Keiki, asking if it was true that he had gone out with Sayuki. Keiki explained that they had only had lunch together, but Sayuki had mistakenly assumed it was a date. Hearing this, Yuka became sad and confided in Keiki, saying he was always nice to Sayuki but never to her. Seeing Yuka upset, Keiki asked if there was anything he could do to make her happy. Excited, Yuka animatedly suggested they go on a date together. A few hours later, while the cultured idiot was wondering who owned the cute panties, Mizuha suddenly burst into his room. She revealed that she had heard he was going on his first official date and came to give him some valuable tips on how to treat a girl properly. On the day of his date with Yuka, Keiki followed all of Mizuha's advice. He complimented Yuka's outfit, held her hand, and took her to see the latest Game of Thrones. He suggested they go window shopping. Afterward, as they left the mall, Yuka excused herself to go to the bathroom, but when she took too long, Keiki presumed something was wrong and went to look for her. He suddenly found Yuka being harassed by a group of losers who wanted to use her skinny body as a tennis racket, and he quickly intervened to save her. Grateful for his help, Yuka kissed Keiki on the forehead, calling him her Prince Charming. But Keiki modestly said he wasn't a Prince Charming, but just a loser wrapped in aluminum foil. She laughed, held his hand, and they boarded the train home. The next day, during lunch with Shuma, Keiki received a message from Yuka asking to meet him in the school storage area because she had something important to tell him. Shuma then suggested that Yuka might be the one who sent the love letter and was about to confess her feelings. Without wasting any time, the holy father of simps headed to the storage room. Once inside, he found Yuka already present, acting strangely, hiding behind the shelves as if she was playing hide-and-seek. After teasing him for a while, she dropped the bombshell. She didn't want him as a lover, but as her slave. Before Keiki could fully process what was happening, Yuka removed her plot padding, pushed him to the ground, and leaped onto him. She shoved her panties into his face, nearly suffocating him, laughing maniacally as she reveled in her twisted and sadistic game. The next morning, Keiki woke up with no memory of how he got home. All he could recall was Yuka saying he passed out from having too much fun and was taken to the school infirmary. Later that day at school, Keiki opened his locker and found a bra inside. Stunned, he quickly closed the locker before anyone could see. After a moment, he opened it again and found a hidden note from Yuka along with the blue brassiere. Annoyed, Keiki confronted Yuka, demanding an explanation as to why she left the balloon holders in his locker. Yuka casually replied that she thought cake toppers weren't appealing enough for him, so she decided to send something more attractive. She then said he could keep the breast supporter as a gift, but Keiki, without thinking, said he preferred the extra large size, not the one from the children's section. Yuka, clearly unamused by being teased, stood up and told Keiki he was being a bad boy, and that, as her mistress, he deserved to be spanked from behind. She then got closer, ensuring she would make him her slave, even if it was the last thing she ever did. Hearing the threat, Keiki backed away in fear. He then ran out of the room and went straight to his locker to grab his books. He decided it was better to go home and watch a movie than deal with the lunatics disrupting his life. However, when he opened his locker, he found a compromising picture of him and Sayuki. Along with the photo, there was a threat. If he didn't immediately go to the club room, Sayuki would post the photo online. With no choice, Keiki ran to the club room, moving faster than his shadow. When he arrived, he found Sayuki dressed in a maid costume. Her massive assets were being broadcast in 4K. A petrified Keiki asked why she was dressed so provocatively, and Sayuki explained that she read in a book that if she wanted to be the best slave, like a dog, she had to dress up as a maid. Keiki then demanded that she change her seductive trap, but she pointed out that her hands were handcuffed behind her back and that she accidentally dropped the key into her cleavage. She implored Keiki to retrieve the key, mentioning that she desperately needed to go to the bathroom. Reluctantly, Keiki reached into the Valley of Melons to retrieve the key, freeing her from the handcuffs. After that, Sayuki then begged him again to become her master, promising to do everything he wanted. At that moment, Keiki thought deeply about the offer, with the devil and the angel on his shoulders giving advice. In the end, he decided against it, choosing to maintain his chastity and remained a typical anime protagonist. Later that day, during lunch, Shuma asked Keiki if he had figured out whether it was Sayuki or Yuka who sent the mysterious love letter. Keiki admitted he still wasn't sure if one of the two crazy girls was responsible. Hearing this, Shuma suggested it might be Nanjo, who he had noticed giving Keiki glances like a secretly infatuated love girl.
A few minutes later, Keiki was lying on a bench, looking at the sky and wondering if there was any point to his pathetic life. At that moment, he received a message from Sayuki asking to meet her in the club room. On his way there, he accidentally bumped into Yuka in the hallway, who, out of nowhere, insisted they play a game. She then covered his eyes and tied him to a chair, informing him that she knew he was on his way to see Sayuki. As he had been a naughty slave, Yuka said he had two choices, to kiss her foot or she would bite his lips. Seeing Keiki hesitate to kiss her foot, Yuka moved in to kiss him. But at that exact moment, Sayuki burst into the hallway, accusing Yuka of stealing her master. The two girls immediately began hurling insults at each other, calling each other despicable names while pulling Keiki like he was a plot device, each trying to claim him. Just as things were spiraling out of control, Nanjo furiously entered, dragging Keiki away and saving him from the two out-of-control girls. Leaving, Keiki finally felt relieved, thinking he had escaped the madness, but his relief was short-lived. Nanjo suddenly started yelling at him, confessing that she couldn't contain her feelings any longer and didn't want him near another woman. In the following weeks, Nanjo began avoiding Keiki as if he had irreparably hurt her heart. Despite his efforts to talk to her, she coldly ignored him every time. Meanwhile, Yuka apologized for her previous craziness, but clarified that apologizing didn't mean she was giving up on trying to win him over. She also pointed out that Nanjo looked genuinely down, only showing signs of happiness when she was with Keiki. Yuka then suggested that Keiki make up with Nanjo. Soon after, Sayuki also apologized for her crazy woman behavior in the hallway, promising to control her public flirting. She repeated Yuka's advice, encouraging Keiki to reconcile with Nanjo, since they were all friends. Following the hint, Keiki decided to talk to Nanjo after class. Later that day, Keiki approached Nanjo hoping to reconcile. After some effort, she accepted on the condition that they hang out together with Shuma, their mutual childhood friend. So, after school, the trio visited the arcade and played Zombie Attack.
During one of the rounds, Keiki lost his balance, and Shuma, in a somewhat clumsy but heroic manner, held him by the waist to prevent him from falling to the floor. Nanjo quickly took pictures of the moment, saving the compromising position on her phone with a cheeky smile. The rest of the day went well, and they had a lot of fun. Afterwards, Keiki walked Nanjo home. However, as they were walking, it started raining, and they sought shelter beneath a nearby building. Seeing that Nanjo looked exhausted, Keiki went to get her a drink from a vending machine. When he returned, he noticed Nanjo looking at a picture of Shuma on her phone. Disappointed, he presumed she was just using him to get closer to Shuma, whom she actually liked. Keiki then accused Nanjo of having feelings for Shuma. Nanjo immediately defended herself, yelling that he was completely wrong. Then she stormed off into the rain. The next day at school, Keiki and Nanjo refused to speak to each other. Their friends tried to reconcile them, but both were too stubborn to make the first move. However, at home, Mizuha managed to get through to Keiki. She noticed how distant and preoccupied he had become because of the fight with Nanjo. Mizuha offered him some advice, saying girls were hard to understand and her brother thought it was all over. The next day, Keiki approached Nanjo again, demanding they talk. She tried to walk away, but this time Keiki ran after her, insisting she listen. Finally, Nanjo gave in. Keiki then apologized for jumping to conclusions about her crush on Shuma, bowing his head and promising to do anything to earn her forgiveness. Hearing this, Nanjo then approached him with a serious face and demanded that he enter into a relationship. A surprised Keiki assumed she meant a relationship with her. But to his shock, Nanjo clarified that she wanted him to have a romantic relationship with Shuma, practically dropping Keiki's jaw to the floor. Before he could answer, Nanjo pulled out an album full of photos from the arcade, all depicting him and Shuma in compromising positions. She then admitted that she was a maniac obsessed with male romance and was writing a love novel about Keiki and Shuma. Apparently, her fans were eagerly awaiting the next chapter of this unexpected love story.
Soon after, Keiki received another mysterious threat, this time related to a photo he found in his locker. The message directed him to the school's storage room for a meeting. When he arrived, Keiki found a girl named Utori who finally revealed herself as the person behind the recent threats. However, to his disappointment, Utori was not the one who sent him the love letter. She was obsessed with Shuma. Utori then confessed that she had been secretly observing Shuma from afar and could no longer contain her feelings. She wanted Keiki to help her get closer to Shuma, leveraging Keiki's friendship with him. She even threatened to spread the embarrassing photo she had if Keiki didn't agree to act as her Cupid. With no choice, Keiki reluctantly agreed to help. The next day, Keiki introduced Utori to Shuma. During the conversation, Shuma and Utori discovered that they both shared a love for tennis, which helped break the ice and made Shuma feel comfortable around her. The two then exchanged contact information, and before they left, Keiki suggested they take a picture together to solidify the new friendship. As soon as Shuma left, Utori thanked Keiki profusely for introducing them and promised to keep the photo forever. Later that night, while lying in bed, Keiki found himself looking again at the mysterious love letter, still puzzled about who could have sent it. He couldn't stop thinking about the sender's identity. The next day at school, he decided to confide in Utori about the matter. Utori, who seems to understand these things, warned Keiki that the girls from the art club were probably not the culprits. They were too creepy and seemed like part of a cult to make a sincere gesture like a love letter. She advised him to widen his search, suggesting that any girl in the school could be his secret admirer. Later that day, he headed to the art club room, but upon seeing the chaotic and manic behavior of the girls, he quickly gave up, deciding to avoid the madness altogether. As he climbed the stairs, lost in thought about the mysterious girl, he suddenly bumped into a random girl, carrying an overwhelming pile of papers. At that moment, the girl lost her balance and almost fell down the stairs, but Keiki heroically cushioned her fall, saving her from smashing onto the floor. However, to Keiki's surprise, instead of immediately getting up, the delusional girl, who introduced herself as Fujimoto, insisted on staying on top of him for a while longer. At that moment, Keiki was shocked by Fujimoto sitting comfortably on his lap. Several hours later, still trying to unravel the mystery behind the love letter, Keiki decided to visit the college secretary's office. He asked the hall supervisor if she had seen anyone enter the club room after it was cleaned. Okita casually mentioned that she had seen Fujimoto, the strange girl from before, and the student council vice president in the hallway around that time.
Hearing this, Keiki filed away this information, but things only got stranger from there. He unexpectedly encountered Fujimoto again. She thanked him for saving her from falling down the stairs earlier, and as a gesture of appreciation, she handed him handmade snacks. Things took a bizarre turn when she suddenly hugged him and commented that she loved his repulsive scent. Witnessing this, Keiki was completely confused, wondering how he suddenly became the school's girl magnet. Trying to shake off the strange feeling, Keiki went to the club room, where he found Yuka sitting alone. Upon entering, he tripped over a trap Yuka had set, and before he could react, Yuka had already jumped on him. She confessed that she had a dream where he was cheering her on, and she wanted to make that dream a reality. Despite Keiki's protests, Yuka started massaging him in ways no one should be massaged, which made him fully experience paradise, leaving him completely exhausted in the end. Days later, Fujimoto invited Keiki on an excursion, but somehow, Sayuki, the self-proclaimed loyal pet, insisted on tagging along. While they were collecting herbs, Sayuki cornered Keiki and started licking him like a dog. At first, he was horrified and tried to push her away, but then he remembered something from his childhood. When his dog, Hanako, wouldn't stop licking him, his grandfather advised him to gently cup the dog's rear end and stroke it to calm it down. Recalling this weird advice, Keiki hesitantly put his hand on Sayuki's rice ball and played with it violently.
To his shock, it actually worked. Sayuki started making happy noises. Keiki then stroked her even more violently, after which she thanked him, saying no one had ever violated her rice balls like that before, and then she left. The next day at school, Keiki was invited to the student council office by Fujimoto. He entered the room and found it surprisingly cozy, with soft music playing and food prepared for them. Soon, they ate together, and shortly after, Fujimoto fell asleep on Keiki's shoulder. Recognizing this as a classic romantic scene from all the novels he had read, Keiki decided to lie down next to her. However, what should have been a peaceful nap turned into a nightmare when Keiki woke up to Fujimoto kissing his magnum region. In utter horror, Keiki yelled at Fujimoto, demanding to know what she was doing. Fujimoto, with a completely serious expression, admitted that she had a deep fetish for the bodily smell of boys, and out of all the boys she had met, Keiki's repulsive scent was by far her favorite. She also revealed that she had intentionally made the room cozy to make Keiki fall asleep just so she could properly sniff his bid pants. To top it off, she begged Keiki to give her his plot armor. After this, Keiki managed to get Shuma and Utori to hang out at a fast food restaurant. As they talked, he wondered how to give them another push to ensure they ended up dating. So, he thought of having a double date that could further reinforce their bond. Arriving home that day, he wondered who to invite for a date, and after evaluating his options, especially considering the cult pervert who loved stealing underwear, he decided to call Sayuki because she still seemed quite sensible. While they waited for Shuma to arrive, Utori paced back and forth, nervous about being on a date with her crush. Meanwhile, Sayuki was surprised to see that Utori also came, leading Keiki to ask if she knew Utori. She replied that they were classmates in their first year. Shuma soon showed up, and upon talking to him, Utori called him fatherless, surprising Sayuki, who almost revealed the truth about their class, but Keiki quickly stopped her from saying anything. After some explanations and bribes, Sayuki realized that Utori was hiding the fact that she was older to get Shuma's attention, as he doesn't like older women. They soon started bowling, after agreeing to punish whoever came in third and last place. While they played, Keiki thought about starting a Cupid business upon seeing Shuma and Utori getting along. Meanwhile, Keiki noticed that Utori was recording their moments together to have something to spend her time with after the date. A few moments later, when it was Keiki's turn, he overheard Shuma asking Utori why she always wore her hoodie indoors, and she replied that she was embarrassed about the small size of her breasts, shocking Shuma. But Keiki was embarrassed. After playing for a while, Sayuki came in last place, so Utori, the winner, made her pull an ugly face. Meanwhile, Shuma came in third, and Utori took the opportunity to ask if she could call him by his first name, which embarrassed him.
Keiki and Utori went back to the strategy room, and Utori was excited to have had fun with the person she loved and had already planned a second date with him. She thanked Keiki for helping her get closer to Shuma, but Keiki replied that he was only doing it so she would delete the photo. However, she replied that she had actually deleted it since the first day he promised to help her and that she knew she could trust him. She then said she no longer needed him and had decided to confess her love to Shuma. The next day, while walking home with Shuma, she suddenly stopped and revealed that she was actually a third-year student, shocking him contrary to what he thought. She apologized and confessed that she did it to get closer to him because she had loved him since he gave her his hat. However, Shuma told her he couldn't date her because he liked them small, which made her very sad. After that, Keiki, who was following him, went to meet him at the park to tell him what a stupid idiot he was for having rejected the feelings of a girl who loved him just because he liked younger girls. Shuma replied that he also felt like a fool, as he really started to like the girl he met that day because she was cute, but he never went out with her again since then. Then he added that he never realized that Utori was the same girl from that day because her hair was shorter, and making her cry also broke his heart. Later, Keiki returned to Utori and found her crying, as she felt terrible that even with Keiki's help, she was still rejected.
However, Keiki decided to cheer her up by insulting Shuma for being so foolish as to reject a beautiful girl like her. Soon, she also started insulting him. And while they were doing this, they suddenly noticed Shuma looking like he had just lost all his savings in cryptocurrency. Utori immediately performed Dr. Strange's hand movement when trying to explain that they were actually talking about him. Shuma approached her to apologize for being so awkward and then asked if they could start as friends. Utori, knowing her ugly rear end was about to be placed in the friend zone, immediately called him out, making him feel like a low IQ psychopath. However, she soon revealed that she was just teasing him and accepted to be his friend, but with some kind of benefits. When Shuma jumped up in excitement, he immediately ran to flip the light switches, as the room was dark, only to discover that the older woman had been chasing him all his life. The next day, Keiki woke up in his bed, and his first task was to smell panties and wonder who they belonged to, as he would like to do more than just smell. Later, still lost in thought, he walked into the bathroom while his sister was bathing, and upon seeing that work of art, quickly turned away before ejaculating in his pants. Later, he apologized for seeing her little balloons in 4K, and she said it was okay. However, she asked if there was something on his mind, as it had been a while since he had peeked at her like that. Keiki started by asking what she would do if he wanted to make a girl his pet, and Mizuha replied that she would call the police. He then asked what if he became a girl's slave, and she replied that she would also call the police. The cultured idiot continued to ask what if he said he wanted to smell a girl's armor, and Mizuha gave the same answer before saying that was weird. Finally, Keiki asked what if he wanted to fall in love, and she first teased him, saying she would also call the police because being in a relationship and being that ugly should be a criminal offense. However, she affirmed that she would support him if he wanted to fall in love. As they talked, they heard the doorbell, and when Keiki went to open the door, he was shocked to see Sayuki, who told him she had come because she was bored and would like to spice things up with him. He took her to his room, where she put on a dog costume and asked him to treat her like his dog. Keiki immediately refused, but she threatened to expose him if he didn't do what she demanded. He quickly began, and as he stroked her stomach, she stuffed his head between her pillows, and the idiot also stayed there until his sister caught him. He quickly explained to Mizuha that it was not what she thought, and then Sayuki left. Yuka soon appeared too and gave him a bunny costume, demanding that he act as her slave or she would expose him. He immediately put on the costume and started acting pathetically. Yuka mocked him and then decided to reward him by taking off her panties, embarrassing him. This led him to ask why she found it easy to show a boy her panties, and she replied that he was the only one who had exclusive access to her OnlyFans content because he was special to her. She soon jumped on him for a quick plot development, but Mizuha entered again and Keiki quickly followed her to explain his compromising position again. After Yuka left, Keiki returned from the bathroom and checked where he hid the panties so he could smell them again like an addict. But the idiot shockingly discovered that they were no longer there. He found Utori later, and they wondered who could have taken them among the 2 girls who visited his house, as this would reveal who the Cinderella who left the love letter was. Utori claimed that getting the panties back might have been a win, leading Keiki to ask what she meant by that. Utori explained that if Cinderella took her panties back, it must have meant that she never intended to leave her panties with the love letter in the first place. Keiki was determined to find out who had the panties now, as this would reveal who Cinderella was. After this, he went to meet Sayuki again and asked her to become his pet for a day. The next day, they went to a park with Keiki determined to find out if Sayuki was really Cinderella. He told her to stay with him the whole time, typical of a real pet. And as they walked together, he wondered how to investigate the missing panties issue. He soon asked if they should start with the roller coaster, which instantly embarrassed Sayuki as she worried about her skirt.
Seeing this, Keiki wondered if she was embarrassed because she was wearing the white panties. To find out, he said they were going on the roller coaster anyway, even though she seemed reluctant, surprising her. However, Keiki was soon disappointed to realize he couldn't see any panties on the roller coaster or even on the other rides. While he was thinking about what to do, Sayuki asked what they would do next, and he asked her to choose what she wanted. She immediately chose the Ferris wheel, and while on it, the cultured idiot immediately realized this could be his opportunity to make her do naughty things, since they were high in the sky, far from being seen. But before he could try, she suddenly moved closer and licked his lips, frying his brain. Immediately after the ride, he felt like a failure because he didn't get what he wanted. And while he was thinking about it, Sayuki asked why he suddenly wanted to become her master. He talked for a while, but nobody cares what he was saying. After that, as they walked back, Keiki asked Sayuki why she chose him as her master, and she replied that the trigger was when he joined the Shadow Club. She simply ended up getting attached, but when she tried to approach him, he rejected her ugly face. However, she didn't regret choosing him as her master. Later, when it was time to part ways, Keiki wasn't going to just let his mission fail like that. So, he suddenly stopped her as she was leaving and asked her to show him her plot armor. She was embarrassed, but he said it was his last order for her for the day as her master. However, the idiot was shocked when he discovered that the girl was not wearing any panties. The next day, Sayuki started acting strange when she saw Keiki and Yuka together. And this led Yuka to ask what happened between them, but they refused to say anything. Then, Yuka started doing messy things with Keiki to get Sayuki to react. Sayuki remained calm, although she was close to exploding. This worried Keiki, so he went to meet with his investigation committee to tell them about the developments. He decided to talk to Sayuki to find out what was going on, and when he met her again later, she complained that he had been clinging to Yuka all the time and ignoring her recently. Keiki replied that it wasn't his intention, but Sayuki still claimed she expected him to take her to the heights that day after being his pet. But the useless and charmless guy just let the opportunity pass. He tried to explain further while standing still like an abandoned zombie and suddenly thought of asking her directly about the panties, as she was the main suspect. But he reasoned that she wouldn't easily confess if it was her. However, Sayuki immediately confessed that she stole underwear from his room. When he thought he had finally cornered Cinderella, the hard-headed girl lifted her skirt and revealed that she stole his boxers, making him realize that she wasn't Cinderella, but rather a crazy woman who just wanted him to cheer her on. Now that only Yuka remained, he followed her home that day, and while she went in to get water, he quickly started rummaging through her panties collection to see if she had the white ones. However, she caught him red-handed and showed that she took a picture of him while doing it, making him realize he was already fucked. She then blackmailed him into becoming her slave.
Meanwhile, Keiki continued to be Yuka's slave and thought he needed to find out if Yuka was Cinderella as soon as possible to end the mess he got himself into. A few days later, after returning from a silly chore he had to do dressed like a butler, Yuka went to the bathroom and he thought it was the perfect time to peek at her panties again. However, Yuka suddenly came back to tell him not to dare do that or she would be her slave forever. A few moments later, Yuka screamed from the bathroom, and when our low-budget superhero quickly ran there to save the day, she was embarrassed and left a mark on his forehead.
Then she punished him for peeking, and the guy couldn't do anything to defend himself and apologized for being a useless idiot who thought he was Batman. Afterward, she asked him to sit next to her and soon began telling boring stories about her bad past and how she became a fan of his. She turned all red and tried to head for the exit, but Keiki pulled her back and put himself in a compromising position with her on the bed. She truly thought he was about to stain her, but the idiot suddenly pulled out his boxer shorts from a corner and asked her why his stinky Sigma boxer shorts were there. She was embarrassed and explained that she took them when she came to his house the other day. Realizing she committed the same offense that made him her slave, he immediately rescinded the slavery contract. The next day, he found Nanjo, who asked if he had a girlfriend so she could interview him for a manga she was working on. He revealed that he was single as a dollar bill. And upon hearing this, Nanjo immediately climbed on top of him and asked him to be her boyfriend. The simp thought she was going to kiss him, but she said she never kisses ugly creatures like him, and then said she only wanted to know a guy's reaction to being approached by a girl. Now she had her answers, which would be fundamental for the manga she was writing. Soon she left, and Keiki felt like a charmless loser who wasn't attractive enough to win a girl. Later, he found Fujimoto, who immediately hugged him to smell his sweat. She then gave him a ticket to the pool, which could only take 5 people, but she told him she wouldn't be there. Keiki went to his strategy room with Utori and shockingly found Shuma and the girl with small pillows in a strange position necessary to make babies. Utori quickly explained that Shuma just tried to hold her when she tripped. They immediately started picking up the photos on the floor, and while doing so, Keiki invited them to the pool. However, he surprisingly saw a familiar date on a photo and immediately deduced who Cinderella might be. He had the idea to invite all the Shadow Club members along with his sister to the pool right after school, aiming to use an extra ticket he had. Handing them swimsuits, the girls pleased him by modeling their outfits, revealing their plot sizes that ranged from largest to smallest. Sayuki and Yuka quickly started arguing about who would sit closest to him, but he told them not to get worked up about it, as he had enough meat to serve them. While the group was having fun, Keiki left to find Mizuha, who had wandered off to the indoor pool. When he found her, she had a cramp in her leg, so he carried her out of the pool, triggering a nostalgic moment for Mizuha as she remembered how he used to carry her when they were younger. Amused, she smiled and casually teased him by revealing that she had found his stash of BL manga, leaving him embarrassed. After this, they ran into Kararo, who encouraged them to participate in a love confession contest. One by one, Sayuki, Yuka, Nanjo, and Mizuha confessed their feelings for Keiki. In the end, however, it was Mizuha's sincere confession that stole the show when she admitted she had been in love with him all along. This realization hit Keiki hard, as he wondered what kind of love she was talking about because he wasn't prepared for an Alabama scenario.
After the contest, he waited for her, and when she asked why he hadn't left with the others, he said he had something important to talk about. He started by apologizing and then slightly lifted her skirt to reveal the Cinderella panties she was wearing, exposing the secret he had long suspected. Keiki confessed that he had realized she was Cinderella. He then explained that he had organized the pool outing and distributed the swimsuits for a purpose. He believed that if she was truly the right person, she would bring the panties with her, as she wouldn't want to leave them behind for him not to find them. This would give her the opportunity to wear them after swimming. Mizuha, cornered yet curious, asked how he had figured everything out. Keiki explained that the timestamp on the photo he found corresponded to her presence at school at an unusual hour, something only Cinderella could have done. With no choice but to confess, Mizuha admitted that she had loved him for a long time. However, Keiki quickly pointed out that they were siblings, making the situation more complicated than it seemed. Mizuha, undaunted, reminded him that since they were only 5 months apart in age, it was impossible for them to be biological siblings. She then apologized before putting her lips on his, surprising him. Later, Keiki found himself in a bizarre situation where Sayuki was waking up and informing him that they were now married. In this surreal moment, he took her for a walk as if she were a dog. However, as quickly as it started, he woke up and thanked God, realizing it was just a strange nightmare. His sudden scream startled Mizuha, who was sleeping next to him in bed. Beaming, she kissed his face despite his shock. He quickly told her to stop, but she ignored him, explaining that she had been worried since he was avoiding her and simply couldn't resist. Feeling trapped by the uncomfortable situation, Keiki decided the best action was to run away from home.
He called his father, who then confirmed that Mizuha was not his biological sister, leaving Kiki deep in thought. This revelation only increased his confusion. Seeking advice, he consulted a friend who suggested that dating Mizuha might not be as weird as he thought, since they weren't actually blood relatives. Even so, Kiki couldn't shake the uncomfortable feelings. Afterward, he thought about staying at Shuma's house, but with a family reunion already occupying space, there was no room for him to stay. Shuma also refused to let Kiki stay at Koraro's house, unsure that the guy might try something with his girlfriend. Wandering around, he found Nanjo, who offered him food, comfort, and some other type of comfort. She revealed that Mizuha always rejected other boys because she had feelings for him and encouraged Kiki to go back home. Meanwhile, at home, Mizuha was growing increasingly worried. She had a disturbing dream about the accident that took her parents' lives, which heightened her anxiety for Kiki's safety. She cared deeply about him, and the idea of something happening to him distressed her. On the other hand, Kiki was equally concerned, not wanting to lose the bond he had with Mizuha, the person he had always seen as his sister. When the rain started to fall, Mizuha went out looking for him, but ended up returning home to prepare a meal. Kiki, exhausted from wandering, finally returned home, soaked and weakened by the rain. Mizuha was relieved to see him, immediately tending to him and making sure he was okay. Kiki woke up to an unexpected surprise. Sayuki was in his room. Mizuha let her in, thinking it would help him recover faster. Without hesitation, Sayuki slid under the covers and tried to warm him up, but things shifted when Mizuha walked in and caught them in this awkward situation. Instead of making a scene, Mizuha silently left. Not long after, Sayuki fell asleep, only for Yuka to enter the room. Furious, Yuka pulled Sayuki out of bed, and the two started arguing. After a back and forth, they decided on a truce, deciding that both could love Kiki, which made things even worse. Mizuha returned once more, catching them in the middle of their truce, and immediately kicked them out, insisting that Kiki needed to rest and recover first.
Alone, Keiki began to reflect on the first time he had met Mizuha. Lost in his thoughts, he went to the bathroom only to accidentally find Mizuha in her birthday suit. Embarrassed, he quickly apologized, and soon they began to talk about their feelings. Mizuha opened up, telling him that her feelings for him started the first time they met. The two shared a sincere moment, reconciling as they laughed together, with Mizuha pressing her huge breasts against his body. When summer ended and classes resumed, Keiki was still as lonely as ever. However, this time he was surrounded by his strange group of friends and a sister who wanted his magnum in every way. Later, the guy soon discovered that Mizuha was an OnlyFans model, and she revealed that on the day of the mysterious letter, she was not wearing any underwear and only put on the Cinderella panties at the last minute because she had gotten sweaty. Unfortunately, Keiki returned before she had a chance to fully dress. Once again, Keiki was speechless, unable to believe the chaotic situations he kept finding himself in. She then asked him to accept her as she was and become her boyfriend, but he gave a resounding no. Just like you rejected yours for looking like a hungry rhinoceros. The end. If you could choose one of these cats, who would be your wife? Who? If you enjoyed this summary, click the like button. And if you've made it this far, comment, "I want a cookie." Until next time, bye-bye.